Harold sat by the window in his small cottage, the light from the afternoon sun slanting across the hardwood floor. The house was quiet, just the way he liked it. After a light lunch, half a sandwich and a cup of soup, he sank into his recliner, pulled a wool blanket over his knees and closed his eyes. It was a habit he'd formed in the years since retiring. A 20-minute nap here, sometimes stretching into an hour. He told himself it was normal, part of getting older. Everyone napped, didn't they? His daughter, Claire, worried. "Dad, you start sleeping more during the day than at night. You were never like this before." But Harold waved her off. "It's just a nap. Don't make a fuss." It wasn't just Harold. His friend Norman, 2 doors down, said he napped twice a day, once after breakfast and again in the late afternoon. "I don't sleep well at night," Norman said with a shrug. "What else can you do?" What neither of them realized was that these naps, harmless as they seemed, were beginning to change more than their schedules. Harold first noticed it on a Sunday morning. He was trying to balance his checkbook, something he'd done for decades. But the numbers didn't line up, and he couldn't remember if he'd already paid the electric bill or not. He laughed it off, blaming his aging brain. Then came the missteps, walking into a room and forgetting why, leaving the stove on. One morning he even left the car keys in the freezer. He didn't tell Claire about that one. At the doctor's office during his annual physical, he mentioned his forgetfulness casually, like it was a joke. But Dr. Lewis didn't laugh. "Tell me more about your sleep habits," she said, leaning forward. "I nap during the day," Harold admitted. "An hour, sometimes more, helps me feel rested." Dr. Lewis nodded slowly. "Do you feel tired when you wake up?" Harold blinked. "Sometimes, more tired than before." She tapped her pen. "I want to run a few tests, and I sipped like you to start tracking your sleep day and night for the next 2 weeks." At first Harold resisted, but Claire gently insisted, and so he began. A notepad sat by his recliner. He wrote down every nap, every time he woke in the night. Within a few days, a pattern emerged. He was sleeping nearly 10 hours total per day, much of it fragmented, uneven, and oddly unsatisfying. When he returned to Dr. Lewis, she showed him the chart. This kind of napping, frequent, long and unrefreshing, can be a sign of something deeper, and in some cases, it can worsen your health. Harold frowned. "Worse how?" Dr. Lewis explained gently. "For people in your age group, 65 to 80, daytime napping can sometimes be a symptom of poor nighttime sleep quality. And more than that, it's been linked to higher risks of cognitive decline, heart issues, and even increased mortality in some studies." Harold stared at the paper. "You sit telling me I am napping myself to death." "Not exactly," she said. "But your body may be trying to compensate for a sleep problem that's affecting more than just your energy." She talked about how excessive daytime sleepiness can be an early warning sign of conditions like sleep apnea, depression, or even the early stages of Alzheimer's. She mentioned recent studies, how older adults who nap for more than an hour a day are at greater risk of cardiovascular issues, or how irregular sleep patterns can increase inflammation in the body. "I thought naps were good for you," Harold said quietly. "They can be," Dr. Lewis replied. "Short, intentional naps, 15 to 30 minutes, can help boost alertness and mood, but long, uncontrolled naps, especially when paired with poor nighttime sleep, are a red flag." Harold left the clinic with a referral to a sleep specialist and a lot to think about. At home, he started paying more attention. He stopped turning on the TV in the afternoon. No more falling asleep in front of old westerns. Instead, he tried walking around the garden, reading or calling Norman to chat. It wasn't easy. His body craved that slump into the recliner, but he fought it. The sleep study confirmed mild sleep apnea, A treatment plan was put in place. Within a few weeks of using a CPAP machine, Harold began to notice changes. His naps became shorter, less frequent. His memory sharpened. He wasn't forgetting names or dates as often. Even his balance improved. He didn't feel quite as wobbly on the stairs. Norman was skeptical when Harold told him about the changes. "Myself's been napping for years," he said. "No harm done." But Harold noticed something else in his friend, repeating stories, a slower walk, the occasional vacant look. "Maybe just get checked," Harold urged, "just in case." Over time, Harold created a routine, up at the same time each morning, light meals, no caffeine in the afternoon. He allowed himself one nap a day, no more than 20 minutes, set by a kitchen timer. He didn't feel 20 years younger, but he did feel steadier, clearer. He felt in control again. One day, Claire came over and noticed the change. "You start sharper," she said. "You start been working in the shed again. Haven't set you." Harold smiled. A man needs a project. He never would have guessed that something as simple as a nap, something he thought was harmless, could be a signal of deeper changes. But it was. And by paying attention, by getting help, he had given himself more good days. For older adults like Harold, the lesson was clear. A nap might feel like rest, but too much of it could be a whisper from the body, a quiet warning asking you to look closer. Not all naps are bad, but when they start replacing the night, when they leave you groggy instead of refreshed, when they become daily escapes rather than short boosts, it's time to ask why. Harold still naps sometimes, but now he sets a timer. And when it rings, he opens his eyes, takes a deep breath, and gets back to the life still waiting for him.